Brittany Sturgill, Prevention Focused Recovery Outreach with Beckley Day Center. There's a lot of
Hello, thank you guys for having me. My daughter decided she didn't want to come up here, which is okay. She's more than welcome to come anytime. I wanted to talk a lot about mental health. I wanted it to be raw and real. I come from a long line of mentally ill folks, and I did carry on the legacy, which is okay. My two daughters are in the crowd. One is a teenager that has been directly affected by substance use. My 5-year-old did not see a lot of it because I decided to heal it. And now we're back together as a family, and we're still learning. That's okay. We take it day by day. Excuse me. So, I want to speak directly to the so-called troubled teens. That label was slapped onto me when I was about 12 and a half years old. I was dealing with a lot of trauma that no one wanted to, I don't want to say that. They didn't have the tools to help me. Now, thankfully, times have changed, and we're more open to speaking about mental health, especially for teenagers. Leona is my oldest. She grew up while me and her father were using. Thankfully, we're both sober now, and we're both doing a lot better. She's seen firsthand how challenging that life was. She also struggles with mental health, but she's also on the road to being better. She's committed to taking the steps that was necessary for her mental health. She agreed to go to counseling. She also agreed to take medicine because sometimes our brains need medicine, and that's okay. Now, my youngest, since we did decide to heal, and she grew up mostly with a happy family, the behavior difference is fun to see. Leona is more introverted than my daughter. Izzy is way more extroverted. They're their own little people, and sometimes still in adulthood I find myself being triggered because I do see the troubled teen from the harm that I caused. We have to keep going. So, with that being said, mental health is one of the most important things when you're trying to prevent substance use, opioid use, anything. They all go hand in hand, they're all intertwined. There are steps that you can take for your mental health. When I decided to heal myself, I started doing intensive outpatient therapy at FMRS. I had the best therapist there, and he taught me a lot on why my brain was a certain way and what we were thinking. Because when you're in it, you don't understand. You're just so clouded. Your mind is so clouded. But therapy really helped me get everything together and learn more about why I was behaving the way I was behaving. Things that you can do currently, actively, to make sure your mental health is well taken care of. You have to take care of yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And I still struggle to remember that sometimes, especially as a busy mom. Always put yourself first. Don't be afraid to say no. And I know, especially with teenagers, you want to fit in. You want to feel like you have the ride or die friends. You want to feel like you have a lifelong community. And so sometimes you let peer pressure get to you. But always stop and think to yourself, what is this going to do? There's ways to make good decisions, especially when you're young. You can always stop and pause. You never have to agree to do something that you don't want to do. That is one of the most important things, is taking care of yourself first.
So I gotta keep going. I find it funny how they have been my biggest cheerleaders, and I always haven't been a perfect parent. They show me every day that it's okay, and I too am not the most mentally healthy person. I still struggle sometimes. But the biggest reward is seeing how far I've came. I remember being called that troubled teenager that would never amount to anything. I remember in high school I had teachers that absolutely hated my guts and hated seeing me coming. But here I am, and I'm showing them every day that the troubled teen can turn out just fine. In high school was probably one of the hardest times of my life. It was from 8th grade on to 10th grade. I was struggling with substance use. I was dealing with some trauma that I didn't really talk about because I didn't know how. I made a lot of silly mistakes, especially at that young age, where I didn't think I would make it into adulthood. There was some times where I thought that the little 16-year-old me would never see myself become a mother. I thought that I was doomed from the start. My whole life wasn't the greatest either. My whole life also had substance use in the house. And they did everything they could, but when you're struggling with that stuff, you can't do very well. So I've learned to forgive them, and I've learned to move on from that chapter of my life, because what happened doesn't have to define me. I want to circle back to teenage mental health, and I want to let you guys know, especially teenagers that are struggling, if you've already had the troubled teenager label slapped onto you, that you can be just fine. You have the power to turn your life around. You don't have to be the label that's slapped onto you. You can use every inch of your willpower to change that. Mental health. And when you learn how to take care of your health and yourself, it can honestly change your life. You have to make active choices to be better. Take it day by day, take it second by second if you have to. But you can absolutely grow and flourish into a beautiful human being, and you can have a good life. Teenagers are just bullies. Mine's in the crowd, forcing me to speak up. But that's okay, they're my biggest cheerleaders. She's right. I it's something that I feel super passionate about. Especially since teenagers, they just get labeled hormonal, they get labeled trouble. Their problems don't seem to matter in the adult world, but we all forget that we were there, and in our minds, those problems that we had were big. Being a teenager is hard. Being human is hard. But you can find it within yourself to beat the circumstances.
Being able to rise above your past, being able to rise above where you were, knowing that that's not where you have to go.
I feel empowered. Like I said, there were times that I never thought I would make it past the age of 18. I remember on Snapchat, I had a picture of the calendar, and that was going to be the day that I would no longer be there. I can't remember what happened that day, but that day changed my life. And then shortly after that day, I started going to therapy at FMRS, and it was like, thank you.
You have much to be proud of.
Thank you.
What would you go back and tell your 16-year-old self?
I don't think I would tell her anything. I think I would sit her in silence and help her. I think she just needs somebody here that would love her unconditionally without any pressure.